This is what real ube looks like.
Of course, my dad would choose one that's shaped like this.
So this is real ube, and my dad says that this was the smallest size that they had. This thing's huge! Real ube has rough skin on the outside, and inside is a deep dark purple color. If that's not what you see, then maybe it's a purple sweet potato.
Like, I don't think you can eat that. I think it's like a growth.
Unfortunately, the inside of this one isn't the best, but we're gonna cut around it and cook it anyway. If you ever prepare ube though, I highly recommend wearing gloves. It has a very sticky sap, and the purple tinted my fingers for a day. Now here we have an ube jam, which is when the ube is cooked with condensed milk, coconut milk, and sugar. So I'm not gonna cook it that way, we already have it. Can you guess how I'm gonna cook this ube instead? Hint, it'll be sweet and I'll add bananas to it. Let's cook real ube for the first time. And I finally get to taste it. I'll let you know what it tastes like. Ube is a purple yam from the Philippines, and it's usually confused with a purple sweet potato. Ube has a very deep, dark purple color with a rough skin. My dad got me one from a province in the Philippines, and I'm cooking it so we can have it for breakfast. Also, this is a super simple recipe that you can try at home too. Just substitute any other sweet potato instead of ube. I'm boiling it and draining it first to make sure it's fully cooked before adding the rest of the ingredients. It took about 10 to 15 minutes. The Filipino bananas I added in here are nice and sweet, and they don't have to cook for very long. Then I added honey, sugar, a pinch of salt, and coconut milk. I typically add less sugar when using other sweet potatoes, but I was so surprised to find that ube doesn't taste sweet at all. It tastes very earthy, so I needed to add more sugar than usual. Plus, the texture is more firm. After trying it, I think ube would taste really good as chips or fries. What's the most precious thing in this world? Cream puffs. Wrong, but here's an ube cream puff recipe that comes close. Full recipe is on JanelleEats.com. Cream puffs are actually pretty chill to make. The process gets kind of weird though, but you'll get used to it. First, you gotta cook the dough in a pan until it comes together. The second part, you add the eggs slowly, and at first, it doesn't look like they're gonna come together with the dough. It'll be a nice arm workout. Keep mixing, you'll get there. Dip your finger in water, press down the tops, and egg wash each cream puff before sticking it in the oven. To make it easier to pipe, I recommend drawing uniform circles on the parchment paper and flipping it upside down. Stab each one so steam can escape, and once it's cooled down, pipe it with your ube custard. I'll show you a recipe on how to make the ube custard tomorrow. Be careful,
it'll squirt. I don't even know how to say it. That's good. Bing bong bong bing bong bong bing bong bong.
Let me ask you a question, Mushroom Head. Make this purple custard if you want people to go, ooh, for your next dessert. But you need to be careful. Okay, you're gonna mix together sugar, cornstarch, salt, and egg yolks without the pan on yet. Just blend everything together first. We're gonna add the milk, and then you can turn on the flame. Keep it low. And I'm warning you, do not walk away from it. I beg you, do not walk away. I had made multiple custards in the past, and I thought I had it all down, but one time I walked away for legit 1 minute, and I came back to a mass of curdled lumps. It just hurt knowing how many eggs I put into it. But once it comes together, you can relax and then add any flavoring you want. I used ube extract, which is a purple yam from the Philippines. If you want the full recipe, go to JanelleEats.com. Where would you put all this ube custard? Ube French toast waffle. The full recipe is going to be on the website. Okay, initially I wanted to have a recipe where I just wanted to press pre-made bread in the waffle iron. But one thing led to another, and I decided to add a few little additions to make it just a tad bit fancier. I whipped together a basic French toast soak for 2 slices of bread, but I added ube extract. Here's the thing with ube extract. The one I use is pre-colored, which means that if I really want the ube flavor in there, I have to add a lot. But it turns a whole mixture into a dark purple color, almost black. So I just added a little bit of the extract in the mix, and to get more ube flavor in here, I slathered on some of Manila's ube jam. Just adding ube extract on its own, from my experience, doesn't give us enough ube flavor. Okay, so I pressed this in the waffle iron for maybe 3 to 5 minutes until it's browned so I can get a little crisp. Eating it on its own, it's okay, but dipped in the ube jam again? Oof, so good. Did you know it's super easy to make ube whipped cream at home? All you need is 3 ingredients. You need 1 cup of cold heavy cream or whipping cream, add 2 tablespoons of sifted powdered sugar, and I added 1 teaspoon of ube extract. You can feel free to experiment with other extracts too. When the cream is cold and you've got a high-powered whisk, this thing can whip up in a minute. Make sure you watch it because you can go from soft peaks to stiff peaks really quickly. Just stop when you've got the consistency that you're looking for. I'm making this because I'm hosting tea and scones at home, and one of the guests is Aussie. She's used to having whipped cream and scones, so I figured I'll have her try this alongside unflavored whipped cream as well. What are other cool flavors you think we can try with whipped cream? Let's make 3-ingredient ube truffles.
Wow, it's so milky and creamy. This would be really good with coffee.
And actually, these are called pastillas in the Philippines, not truffles.
Oh my god, this is unlocking memories.
All you need is condensed milk, butter, and milk powder. And let me tell you, once I tossed in the milk powder, a deep memory I had of this resurfaced. My mom took us to the countryside in the Philippines because she was visiting her friends, and my sister and I befriended their teenage daughter, who started a little fire outside. She put a tin can over the flame and put in some condensed milk. She tossed in some milk powder until it thickened up and used the stick from the nearby tree to stir. I totally forgot about it until I made this. The flashback felt like an out-of-body experience. So although American mainstream media likes to call these condensed milk recipes truffles, I'll always know them as pastillas that we enjoyed in a simple tin can out in the countryside.
What recipe will the wheel pick today? All right, I have to make donuts. Malasadas.
Malasadas are similar to fried donuts that are really popular in Hawaii. This recipe is actually from a school on Oahu called Punahou, and Doug's auntie raves about their malasadas. I guess they host a yearly carnival where these babies sell out quick. This is a very sticky dough, but necessary to get that nice floofy texture. You can leave them unfilled, but I decided to stuff them with homemade ube creme patissiere. Ooh.
Don't look. Now look.
Whoa, that's purple on purple.
Dude, this one's overflowing. No wonder I ran out of cream.
So heavy. Damn, that's so good.
There are some unfilled ones if you want it. Come back tomorrow for another ube recipe.
Here are 5 different ways I get ube in the US, which is a purple yam from the Philippines. This first one is ube powder. You just mix it with water and cook for 20 minutes. I use this whenever I want unsweetened ube puree, like when I made ube noodles. But if you can access the frozen ube puree, you can skip the cooking part altogether. That frozen puree is the second way I get ube. The third way is ube halaya, which is a pre-made ube jam. In our ube series, I put this in the milk tea latte, or use it for any dessert since it's very sweet. The fourth way is pre-cut frozen ube. These still need to be cooked, and I use this when I want whole chunks of ube, like in the Samosa recipe. And the fifth way I use ube is with extract. It's tinted and gives us that vibrant purple color that ube is known for. I wish I could reliably get real fresh ube, but for now, these 5 work just fine. Let's make Ube Rice Krispies treats. I can't seem to stop putting ube in things. Doug loves Rice Krispies treats, so I figured I should try making them from scratch. The tip that I got from a YouTube recipe is to oil everything you're gonna use so nothing sticks. I followed the New York Times cooking recipe for this, but I switched out the flavors and toppings. To make this a little more interesting, I added just a bit of raspberry jam along with the ube extract. It's because whenever I add ube extract to things, the color's there, but the flavor's pretty mild. I actually enjoyed the hint of raspberry jam in here, which pairs well with the white chocolate pearls and the white chocolate chips I sprinkled on top. The flaky sea salt helps give it that sweet and salty flavor contrast, which I'm a fan of, but you can always take that out. I was surprised by how simple this was to make. I thought I did something wrong, but no, it's really that easy. And I feel like this is a perfect treat to bring to a party when you have little time. Bonus, my siblings and Doug loved them too. Are there other cool flavors I can try with Rice Krispies treats?
How about instead of a pumpkin pie, we make an ube pie, aka purple yam?
I think Costco has some pretty good pumpkin pies, and chances are someone else is gonna show up with a pumpkin pie at the party, but not you. Bring the purple pie. Pie crust can be simple to make, but if you're lazy, you can buy it pre-made. Okay, go to an Asian grocery store and check out their frozen section. Grab the frozen grated purple yam, which is the ube. You're mixing this with a can of condensed milk, pumpkin pie spice, salt, and a little more ube extract for that pop of purple. And that's it for the filling. Super easy, yeah? As for the pie crust, whether or not you're buying it, I'd blind bake it first so it stays nice and crispy. That means that you're baking the pie crust a little bit and then adding the ube pie filling after. No soggy bottom boys here. 375 Fahrenheit for about an hour and you've got a gorgeous ube pie. Be careful, it's pretty dang good.
Wow, it's not too sweet, which is always dangerous. The crust is flaky too. Oh my god.
What's the next ube recipe?
My sister is gonna spin. Ube churros, dude.
Churros are super easy to make, so I recommend making them if you haven't yet. As we've seen in the previous recipes, the ube extract flavor can be pretty subdued. To give this more of an ube personality, I just took some pre-made ube jam in a jar, which is pretty sweet on its own, loosened it up with milk, and used that as a dip for the churros.
It tastes like a regular churro.
Well, yeah. Very mellow.
I'm gonna try it with the dip. It's so good when it's fresh.
Let's spin for our mystery ube dish. Ube Mochi Wa! So easy.
This recipe already exists on our website, so I just had to follow the directions. You can mix everything in one bowl and plop it onto a hot waffle iron. I'd cook these for a shorter time if you want it to be purely nice and soft and squishy, and a bit longer if you want the outside to crisp. You can eat these with whatever you typically eat your waffles or pancakes with. For this one, I added full-fat coconut milk and condensed milk.
If you're not allergic to coconut, I highly recommend topping this with coconut cream and then the condensed milk. It's such a great combo. Otherwise, just stick to condensed milk or put maple syrup on top. Come back tomorrow to see what recipe the wheel spins.
What are we making?
We are gonna make liquid nitrogen ice cream. Soft serve, it's the smoothest ice cream ever. Dang, that smells good. We gotta make our base first. I'm making a big batch. Sugar, lots and lots and lots and lots of milk powder. This also makes the ice cream rich. A little bit of cream. You gotta have a little bit of salt, brings out the sweetness. You don't have to cook it. It'll help the milk proteins dissolve even more, making it even smoother, smoother, smoother. Okay, so this is our base.
Ooh, what's that? What are you doing?
Oh, that's very purple. It's like Grimace. Should we just have this whole thing?
Yeah.
3/4 vial Ube.
If you're using that brand.
Our Ube soft serve mix goes in. We're witches today.
I'm a witch. You're a wizard.
I want it stiff.
I'm bandanaed up.
Wow. That's
And
better
we're
than
gonna
I
make
thought it would be.
cones. Yeah, I can't tell if that's rude or not.
Oh, it's cold. Wow, look at the kid.
Oh, so pretty. Good job.
I just woke up.
Ube spam musubi.
Very interesting.
Doug and I were thinking of multiple ways to put ube in here. Do we simmer the spam in ube extract? Add ube mashed potatoes on the stack? I figured adding ube extract to the rice would be best. It's like when my mom would add pandan essence in our rice cooker. Again, the ube flavor here is mild, but shows off the brilliant purple color. I'm using this prototype Musubi mold that our team is working on to see how it holds up. Join our newsletter if you want updates on its progress and launch. Figured it out. Ube spam musubi.
That's so good.
Honestly, if you close your eyes, you probably wouldn't know that there was ube flavor in here, especially because of the furikake. But you want to host like a Barney-themed birthday party, you can make one of these. Let's see what the wheel spins tomorrow. I got another sticky rice ball recipe for you. This is stuffed with something. Can you guess what it is?
Seems like many of you are enjoying the glutinous rice balls or sticky rice ball recipes, so here's another one with a flavor that's highly requested. Ube! It's a purple yam from the Philippines, and it's actually pretty rare to come by. The actual root itself, I mean. These jars of pre-made ube jam or ube halaya are easier to get, which I typically find at my local Filipino or Southeast Asian store. It's nice and thick. You could slather this on toast or use it to pair with desserts. It's got a sweet potato kind of flavor, but purple. And this is where most of the sweet flavor in our sticky rice ball is gonna come from. I decided to add some toasted sesame seeds for a little bit of flavor and crunch.
Yes. The sesame seeds add nice texture too. And not too sweet. What other sticky rice recipes do you want to see? Let me know. Recipe 6. No! This is gonna be very interesting.
I don't like it. Sinigang is my favorite Filipino dish, and the thought of experimenting with it freaks me out. But we must do it. I'm also very curious to see how it'll turn out. It's a sour Filipino soup, and although you can make it from tamarind paste, you can shortcut it using sinigang flavor packets from your local Asian store. I used leftover ube puree from recipe number 5, and no ube extract. I just cannot cross that line.
It still tastes like sinigang, yeah?
I think that's the lesson of this series. Ube makes things look good, but you can't really taste it.
So the only thing this changes is that it's thicker. It's kind of hard to be experimenting with a dish that I already loved, so I was very resistant to it, but it's really basically the same thing. Come back tomorrow to see what we spin next.
Janelle just woke up, so I'm gonna spin for her. Ready?
I trimmed this comment, but basically this viewer suggested making ube soup and ube noodles. I just stuck with the noodles bit because I knew this was gonna test me. This is only my second time making noodles and I really hope it works out. I decided to make both thin and thick noodles.
Hello.
This may look fast and easy to make, but it's actually time consuming and has its challenges. The thinner noodles ended up sticking together and I didn't learn until after I made them that I'm supposed to let it dry out a bit first. After the excruciating task of peeling them apart one by one, I'm happy to say that these noodles ended up having great texture. I need more practice, but what do you think? Should I start making more noodles and pasta? Also, what should I cook these noodles in?
The noodles are good texture. They don't taste like ube. They're just purple.
It never does, right?
Come back tomorrow for another ube recipe.
Next recipe. No, why is so hard? Samosa with ube as the filling.
So this is my first time making samosas. I ended up using leftover ube from recipe 1 and then followed Swasti's recipes so I don't completely butcher this. I steamed the ube thinking it would get too mushy if I boiled it, but then my filling ended up being a bit dry. So I just added more water and spices. Folding was easier than I thought, but the frying was interesting. I fried on low heat for 10 minutes, then higher heat to crisp it up. It worked out. How'd I do for my first time?
Not gonna lie, this was pretty intimidating for me to make, but it turned out really good. It's because the recipe that I used is good. And honestly, I prefer eating ube this way. It's not sweet. It has more of a potato flavor with a more dense texture.
I could eat a lot of these. You make the dough?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good. Give us more ube recipes and we'll spin again tomorrow.
My sister's gonna do like a double spin thing. Ube milk tea! Yeah, that's easy.
I made this 2 ways. Both had pre-made ube jam as sweetener mixed with milk and ube extract. The first one had strong black tea and a bit more ube extract compared to the second. And although the second one looked prettier, the darker one actually tasted better. And there's so many other ways you could make this too, but this is it. It's the final recipe for this season's Battle of the Dishes. Now you get to vote for your favorite ube dish. I'll put out the voting form tomorrow.
Okay.
Cheers!
Cheers!
I like the bits of
the ube bits.
Yeah, the
ube bits are kind of nice.
That's good.
It's pretty tasty. Here, you want to switch?
It's not as sweet.
Those are all the recipes for this season. Now don't forget to vote on your favorite. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah. We're making Alfredo pasta with ube noodles. Let's forget we're lactose intolerant for a second because purple noodles look nicer with a whiter sauce on top. So here we go. During our ube series, I had to make ube noodles from scratch. It was really fun, but also took a long time. Making this Alfredo sauce is nowhere near as labor intensive. I just used the Alfredo sauce recipe from the Salty Marshmallows blog. It's 7 ingredients and you just toss it all in one pot. It's got butter, cheese, and cream. My sauce isn't super white in color because I decided to brown the butter, but there you have it. If you were here, you'd smell fragrant garlic with toasty notes from the browned butter. It was phenomenal.
I put cilantro on there because I don't have parsley. Take your lactase pills. Pretty good. I know this is gonna mess me up.
This is how to use ube powder. But what is it and how do you use it? Ube is a purple yam from the Philippines, and if you live in the mainland US like I do, it's very difficult to find the real thing around here. But the powdered version is everywhere, and all you gotta do is rehydrate it. Just follow the packet directions, add water, and cook it until the powder is no longer gritty. You'll know because the little chunks of ube in here will be soft. After rehydrating, you can use it for any ube recipe. That said, can you guess the first recipe that I'm gonna be using this on? Hint, it's sweet and baked.
Doug, you want to spin this one?
Yes. 2, 1. Ube lumpia. Ah, that's easy.
It was Doug's brilliant idea to add banana in here. It's like having Filipino turon, which is banana, jackfruit, and brown sugar cuddled in a lumpia wrapper and fried. But ube jam is pretty sweet on its own, so I left the sugar out. I froze the jam to prevent it from leaking everywhere, but some still managed to escape. I also froze them after wrapping up so it doesn't unfurl in the fryer. This took about 5 minutes to get from frozen to crispy. So simple.
Wow! I was gonna put condensed milk on this, but it's perfect. The banana and the ube jam make it sweet enough, and you get that creaminess from the ube jam. That's really tasty. So much better compared to yesterday's recipe. Give me more ube ideas and we'll see if it makes it in tomorrow's spin.
Here's an ube recipe that looks kind of ugly.
I'm gonna have this for breakfast.
Okay, it's not that ugly, but it doesn't have that brilliant purple color that ube is known for. If you've watched our recent ube series, we learned that ube has a very delicate flavor. And usually the bright color is only there because of food coloring from the extract. I wanted to make the breakfast bars that I eat with my yogurt in the morning, but instead of bananas or pumpkin puree, I decided to use some of the ube that's piled up in our freezer. Can you see that even with a good amount of ube puree, the purple is still very faint? I mean, adding the ground flax didn't help, but that's what it looks like without that dyed purple extract. Would you still eat this?